the drummer for poundSalt. We are a heavy funk trio based out of Florida. We've basically been given this opportunity to talk with some of our fans and discuss some of the things that we feel about our music and how our songwriting is and influences and stuff like that. And I get asked about how I got in this band all the time, and it was really lucky for me, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, I got really lucky to be in a band where everybody listens to your decisions, lets everybody, everybody talks and everybody gets a chance to say what they have to say, and nobody's ideas are ever just shot down. Everybody tries to let us play through it and see which one we like more, and everybody's ideas get thrown in there, and it's really awesome. And we've really turned into a very tight, very good band, you know what I mean? And it really worked out really well for everybody, because when I first met these guys, they were like lost little dogs, and they were like, they said, guide me. They said, guide us, Jimmy. We want, here's A, we want to get to B, and we don't know how to get there. And I said, take my hand, little children. I said, and let me take you to the promised land. And that's what I've done. And I've transformed this band single-handedly into the best rock trio out there. And no, but seriously, I want to take this opportunity to talk about something. I'll get to the influences and all that stuff, but I want to talk about something that I feel like's missing out there a little bit since I have this opportunity, and that's gathering with people and feeling. I mean, people used to get it from church, you get together with people, you have a like frame of mind, you're feeling something, it doesn't happen when you're video gaming. When you go to see a movie, it doesn't happen because everybody's quiet and they're just watching the movie. There's something different when you're singing along with people and you're dancing. And I know I've been at great concerts that lifted me, you know what I mean? Where there's a guy I don't even know next to me, and I spent an hour and a half with my arm around a dude, and we're singing every word and we're having a great time, and that's really missing, you know what I'm saying? Especially, we're doing the thing in Tampa, Florida, and it gets kind of hard to make it out here. There's a lot of dance clubs, you know what I mean? And it's you see the lack of people trying to get together and share something, you know what I mean? When they're out there dancing, even then, it's a lot of times it's people you're kind of singled in with somebody, and let's be honest, a lot of people out there now are just trying to grind up on some pretty girl, you know what I mean? It isn't even about like, hey, let's dance and have a good time or something. It's about trying to get sexual with them, and that's not what going out to see a live show is about, And I think that's really missing in today's society, is people getting together with a like frame of mind, being uplifted, and really feeling good, and turning next to the person next to you and not feeling like, hey, you have your space, I have mine, but this is our space, and what's up, brother, I'm not a real avid churchgoer, but I do remember when I was younger and I would go to church, and the pastors and stuff, which probably still happens, they would say something like, turn to the person next to you and shake their hand and tell them you love them and stuff like that or whatever, and that was cool, man. Even if you felt a little bit like, oh, this is kind of weird at first, it always wound up being a good thing, and you always felt good about it afterwards. And I think that we all need to get back to that. So that's my piece on that. I don't want to talk forever. There's a lot of people trying to talk and get in on this and talk and everything. Obviously, we're in this beautiful studio, Rising Sun Studios, and I want everybody to get a chance to speak. So let's see. Influences, I hate to say it. It's a little hard to admit because I'm a very technical drummer. I like to... I'm one of those guys that doesn't. It's not just happy playing the drums. I want to know them inside and out, backwards and forwards. I want them to be able to play every style, every time signature, and that's how I try to do it. I go at it really hardcore, but that's not for everybody, But it's hard for me to admit, and it's the truth, and it's hard for people to understand when they see me play for how technical I am. But my influences are all '80s hair metal bands. I grew up on the stuff. I loved it, and one of the greatest things that happened when that stuff ended and the big alternative grunge thing happened was the drummers got a lot better. And I was influenced by a lot of those drummers, Matt Cameron and David Abruzzi's, and but still, during all that period, I'm always going back to Charlie Benante with Anthrax and Nick Menza and I can't think, Vinnie Paul, Pantera. That's I love really hard stuff, and it's weird because I play in a band where we're very funky, but there's definitely that hard side, and I kind of bring that in there. Even if you hear some of the old recordings of songs like I Am and Cherokee, they're a little bit different. They're funkier. They're a little bit harder driven now, and whether I meant to or not, that influence has seeped into those songs, So I can't really say what struck me to be so technical, because honestly the guys I listen to aren't very technical drummers. You know, I mean, the 80s metal stuff was just 80s rock stuff, hair band stuff was just a lot of 4/4 times straight on beat stuff, guys rising their stick up in the air. You know this one, you know, we all know that one, you know, everybody knows that, you know. And that's where I got my influence from, all that stuff. I wanted to I get asked a lot how I do all those single and double rolls that I do with a single bass pedal, you know. And it's honestly trying to emulate double bass pedal stuff from Anthrax and Megadeth and stuff like that, and that's where I got it. I started when I was really young, and I didn't really think about the fact that they're doing it on 2 pedals. I just tried to find a way to do it anyway, and so I just did. And now you see there's a lot of videos on YouTube and stuff of people trying to show the technique, which is really cool. I didn't really know it was a technique that not all drummers knew how to do and had to be shown, to tell you the truth. That sounds kind of egotistical, but that's the truth, you know. I never had any lessons or anything. I never taken any lessons, although I would have benefited from it, I'm sure, because like standard rudiments, paradiddles and flamdiddles, all that kind of stuff that you need to start out on, you know. I didn't learn any of that stuff at first. I mean, I was playing whole albums by the time I was 10 years old. That's no joke, you know. And, but I missed out on all the rudiments and stuff like that. So, I mean, as far as my influences, a lot of 80s metal stuff and a lot of hair metal. You know, a lot of hair rock and even Poison and stuff. Ricky Rocket's the man. Anyway, so that's my take on the whole thing. I want to give everybody time. Please check us out, poundSalt, poundSalt.com. We're all over the place. You know, we got songs all over the place. And thanks to John Seda and Rising Sun for letting us come in here and making us a part of their family and allowing us to do this. And thank you guys for checking us out and, you know, just letting us do a little bit of one-on-one time with you. And thanks a lot. Y'all take care, man. Peace.
Nobody was living. You should have seen all the trouble and calamity that confounded when no was given. Alright!
Hey, I'm Brett Schock from poundSalt. Here at Rising Sun Music. Talk about our influences and why we do what we do. Man, influences are rough for me because I go from one spectrum to another. It's I like a lot of reggae, grew up with a lot of that, grew up with old country, ended up liking Hendrix, fell in love with the Hendrix. And there's always the Chili Peppers and Stevie Ray Vaughan. One of my favorites now is probably Tom Morello. And certain ways I play guitar is because of Tom Morello. I had to try to figure out how to do stuff he hasn't done yet, which is hard to do. I like to show off a lot. That's probably my biggest thing. That's why I'm in a band. I like to show off. And when you got good musicians in your band like Casey and Jimmy, it's hard to show off. You gotta be on point all the time. I'd say the best thing about being in poundSalt is it's not just, for me, I just like hanging out with the guys. I think the fact that we can hang out, drive to Illinois and back and get along, that's a good thing. It's probably more important than the music sometimes. I can play guitar with anybody, probably not as good as what I can with these guys, but the friendship thing that's why I like it. And then the reason I play shows is because I like being in front of people, man. I can't help it.
Brett likes the ladies.
Yeah, that's why I first got in the band, probably was the ladies. And then we had some couple changes in the band. I actually had to learn how to play guitar, and that kind of sucked, but I like it now.
That's good.
That's really all I got to talk about. I'm not the talker like Jimmy. That's why we keep Jimmy around.
That's the real.
Can I ask you something? Can I ask you
Go
something? You know, from one guitar player to another, right?
Right.
Can you tell me what influenced you to use your effects the way you did with the with the back tremolo thing? I mean, because that's every time I've watched you, I've always been impressed with that.
We use that a lot now because I found there's different ways to use it. And my biggest thing with that, it was just me sitting around, honestly, trying to find something Tom Morello hadn't done yet. And hopefully he sees this. I'll be like, watch one of my videos. And that's the biggest reason we use that. I mean, it sounds good in a lot of stuff too. I don't know how else to explain it.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
You are correct, sir. That is it. That's all I got. Thanks to Rising Sun Music. Thanks to our fans. Please come to our shows. Later.
Hey.